Okay, we'll get started. Appreciate everybody being here. We just got off the practice field here a couple hours ago, and we're making a lot of progress. We have a long, long ways to go, no doubt about it. When only one team in the country, Utah State, has less starters coming back than we do in college football, we have a lot of work to do. My assistants do, my coordinators, my GAs, all of us. There's a lot of work needs to be done. It's very obvious when you watch our team. But it's fun, it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking when you have so many guys that you don't know who your best guy is going to be, you don't know who your starters are going to be. I know who four of the starters are going to be in the offensive line. We figured that out now that they're going to be four-year starters. Those four are pretty good, pretty solid as far as our starting positions go. But there's a lot of positions on our team right now that are really, really wide open, which makes it fun and makes it exciting. And these guys know coming to the practice field that you better compete your tail off and compete to win and put yourself in a position to play winning football. 19 days from today, we play Texas on national TV in front of 100,000 people. Tremendous challenge, obviously, and we really have a lot of work to do, as everybody does this time of year, but especially when you have so many questions that we have on this football team. I think overall so far, just a week into camp, attitude's good, work ethic is good. The team overall is in really, really good condition. They've been working out in the heat all summer long under Frank's direction, my strength coach and his staff. They've done a beautiful job of that, and that always helps, obviously. Got some freshmen that really will have a chance, I think, to help us this year. No final decisions. We're going to spend all this week, as we did last week, on all North Texas. We're not going to get into Texas or SMU or Louisiana Tech until after we get through this week. We've worked on them as a coaching staff for months and months and months, but we're going to take another week this week and just work against each other, be as good as we can be, improve the football team, build our team, and then try and answer as many questions as we can. But it's an exciting time for all of us. We've tried to build in our program and embedded in the culture of this program, expect to win. Believe you can win, regardless of who's back, who's not back, who started, who didn't start, who played, who didn't play, which coach you coached last year and which coaches are coaching you now, regardless of all that stuff. We have that in the culture. It's a culture of trust, it's a culture of leadership, and it's a culture of expectations to win. And we have to build on that every day. But this is the fun time of year. You love it as a head coach because we are building our team right now, each day, through the heat and the competition and the highs and the lows and the ups and downs and the successes and the setbacks and all those things. You're building our team, and it's really a lot of fun as a head coach. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and open it up to questions. Appreciate everybody being here.
You talk about the culture of winning and the expectations of winning. Now that this team has won, and like you said, there's a lot of holes you've got to fill, but what tone do you see different because of the fact that there was winning last year and there is something to build on?
Yeah, there is a different tone, and it's been that way really since January, since the game was won, the bowl game was won. I think just people believing, people expecting, people hoping now that we can continue building on the program that we have. You're talking about all 12 games. We're waiting on the Indiana game. It's probably going to be on the Big Ten Network. You're talking about all 12 games in North Texas are going to be televised. You talk about unheard of, uncharted waters. How about all games at North Texas being televised for our fans, our alumni, our friends, anybody that's ever played in the uniform here at North Texas? What exposure, how great that is. We've had more unofficial visits by recruits. We've had more high school coaches come on our campus in the last few months than ever since I took the job here. Rick Villarreal and I are in front of 4,200 freshmen in our summer orientation program. We bring them into the stadium and crank them up and ask them to come to our games and help building on the home tradition that we have of being 12-5 since we opened this stadium. And they're not just sitting in the stands. They're not just kind of listening. They're involved. They're active. They're reactive. They're excited about football. And you really do sense it, I think, and feel it. And now it's up to us to keep building on that success from last year.
With so many jobs open, do you sense some excitement among your players with the opportunity that's out there for some of them to maybe grab some jobs on this team?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And I think we spelled out, we remind them every day. It's right there in living color when you watch the tape. There's not much difference. And I'm talking about deep snapper. I'm talking about PAT field goals. I'm talking about the punting job. I'm talking about kickoffs. The obvious things, a quarterback and running back and replacing record-setting quarterback and a 1,000-yard rusher and that fifth offensive lineman and 4 senior starters in the defensive line and a 3-time captain at Mike linebacker. I mean, the list goes on, but there's positions all over this team where it is really close. And I'm not saying they're all draft picks that are battling for number 1, but they're guys that I think really have a chance to be darn good players for us, that it's very, very close the competition is, which as a head coach you like to see it. because we had to try and fabricate it when I got here. There was a lot of positions, there wasn't much competition, and when the one wasn't very good, the backup obviously wasn't worth a damn, and we had a lot of that going on. Through recruiting and development, a walk-on program, and expectations and building this program, we have a lot more guys that I think have a chance to play real solid Division I football, winning football for us.
You lost a lot, obviously, with a bunch of seniors, but those weren't exactly your recruits. And these guys who are coming up now, your recruits. How more do you sense that you started from the beginning with these guys, that transition from the senior class to these new guys coming in could be made easier because of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about easier. It's never easy, obviously, with transition. And does a senior really feel like he's a senior? Is he really ready to follow the lead of those guys last year? Can he step in and, whether you're a vocal leader or you lead by example, can you do that and do it with your head held high and do it with class and do it with integrity and take care of the little things? We're still building that with our team right now. Little things do make a major difference, and that's one of the hardest things college coaches have. Make sure everybody understands being on time, taking care of business, getting to treatments, don't miss a meal, hydrate when we ask you to hydrate, get to bed when we ask you to get to bed, run to the tent when we take a break, don't walk to the tent, just all the little things. And you've been as long as I have, you understand those little things do add up to winning and they add up to success. And it's a matter of those guys in the locker room as leaders take control of that, take charge of that. So I'm not running all that stuff and and coaching all that stuff all the time. Make sure all those little things are done. Now, I'll do it for a while, but sooner or later, you want to hand that over to your leaders and your seniors to say, they got it. They got the locker room. They're going to take control of this thing and help us build another really good football team this year.
Are there ways that you can tell that there is more belief in the process of the system and the way of going about doing things?
Yeah, I think it's a mutual thing. I mean, I think the players really believe in us and we believe in them. There's proven records that were set. There's proven success. One of the great things that doesn't get forgotten by me and my staff, but it does by sometimes people, we were one of the great second half teams in the country last year. There were 2 or 3 games we were getting our tails kicked at halftime. Those speeches aren't the easiest at halftime to try and make sure your football team refocuses and believes that you can come back and win in the second half. But that was about the 9 or 10 months and the preparation for the season, getting ready for those things physically, and then emotionally and mentally and spiritually, and togetherness and chemistry and leadership. Can you come back if that happens? Because we're going to be behind in some games this year. It happens. It just happens. It happens in every level of football. What are you made of? What's your grit? What's your resolve? What's your leadership? What's your character? What's your heart? What's your toughness? And I think that's what we want to really learn from last year, because there was a lot of those situations we were in. And last year's team really handled that adversity. What's this team going to handle? How are they going to handle it? How would we're building our team, reinventing our team. How are they going to handle it when adversity hits? And that's really what we're doing out there between the white lines right now, trying to figure that out.
Last season, you guys came into the Conference USA kind of undetected, and you made a surprise. This year, you have a lot of expectations. You're expected to win the West by a lot of people. Does that put a lot of pressure on your team, or do you guys welcome that?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they welcome it. I mean, when I heard that stuff, it was almost laughable to me. I mean, you got less starters in the country than Utah State. That's not trying to deflect any expectations. That's just fact. I've been around this thing for a long, long time. Had we had that team coming back with all those seniors, I'd say, yeah, you're right. This is one of the youngest teams I've ever been around in my life. And you start looking at Texas, we've never beaten in the history of the series. SMU were 4-28, so there's been no rivalry. There's just been an ass kicking for 32 games before I got here through all the years. Louisiana Tech's coming as a Conference USA opponent, and but we're supposed to be the leading guy. All I can tell you is it beats the hell out of being picked last. But we're so far away from being a title contender right now. We got a lot of work to do, believe me, in the next 19 days before we open against Texas. But I'd rather them picking us to be successful in winning rather than saying they stink as usual. It's North Texas. It's a mean green. 3 people come to your press conference, and who gives a damn about mean green football? So I like this better.
You mentioned on Saturday that you're still looking and sorting through your quarterback situation with Greer, McNulty, maybe even DeJon Williams. As you're this far into camp, is that a good sign that maybe you've got a couple of good players, or are you kind of discouraged that maybe one of those guys hasn't really taken the job?
Yeah, I'm not discouraged a bit. I really, as I said after the scrimmage Saturday, we didn't turn it over all on offense. So defensively, you don't like that, obviously, because we were one of the best in the country and the best in the Conference USA last year with forcing turnovers and takeaways. But our quarterbacks are smart. We got some smart guys back there, and they know you jeopardize our offense, put us in a bad position, bad decisions, you're going to be over there signaling from the sideline. So take care of the ball, and they really learned it. And McNulty and Greer are two of the smartest guys that I've been around in a long time. They really are. They're really smart. They grasp the offense. They understand our plan to win. They understand what we have to do on offense. Now can they go execute it within their God-given talents and do it consistently and determine who's our best? But there is really good competition there, and it's not, well, there's a couple of them that are not worth a damn, and we can't figure out, sifting through two of them that aren't very good, who's the best. I just think these guys are really competing really well. So, and it's not only those two, but those two clearly have the edge right now. Coming out of week one, coming out of spring ball, going into week two, coming out of this morning's practice, we'll have another big scrimmage on Saturday. After Saturday, you would hope with a lot of positions we can start making some final decisions, but we don't have to. There's no NC2A rule saying you got to have your decisions made. There aren't any expectations on the outside that affect me on decisions that I make. We still will have another week next week with no classes. This week, no classes, no academic conflicts. It's all football. It's all camp. And let's make decisions. Let's make the right decisions rather than a rush decision. So have another major scrimmage Saturday. A week from this coming Saturday, we'll have our mock game in Apogee, which will be all Texas. But honestly, by the end of that scrimmage this coming Saturday, you'd like to have a lot of those positions after 2 weeks of camp that you feel like, this guy's really our best.
So you hope to make that call hopefully after Saturday?
I hope we can. If we can't, we can't. We got another week without another week with no classes, and another week before we get into game week. Obviously, by game week, we'll know who our number one guy is. It'd be great if we could do it after this week, but there's no. I don't want my quarterbacks or my coordinators to feel any pressure that we have to get it done. We have to have it 2 weeks prior to kickoff. I don't believe all that. So let's take our time. Let's be thorough. Let's be professional. Let's make the best decision for our football team.
Dan, even if you guys make a bowl at the end of this season, in this state, your biggest game is going to be viewed as that opener against Texas with Charlie Strong's debut, etc. A lot of eyeballs. Just talk about the opportunity that brings for the Mean Green.
Yeah, I mean, storied tradition, one of the most respected programs in America, in Texas. We all grew up watching the Longhorns. My first chance to coach against them was in the 1984 Freedom Bowl. And Scotty Conley, my director of football operations, was coaching at Texas. We played out in the driving rainstorm. Chuck Long threw 6 touchdown passes, and we won 55-17. So that was my first impression, firsthand watching the game, which was unbelievable for that to happen. But Texas didn't really want to be in that bowl game. We did, and obviously the results showed that. But you look at through the years, the unbelievable success. There was no question their best players were underclassmen last year when you watched them. That's still a lot of the same players that took Oklahoma behind the woodshed in their game last year, and Oklahoma was the BCS champion football team last year. So I'm not fooled by that. Charlie and Vance Bedford, the defensive coordinator, I spent some great times together. We won a national championship together. Anything that Charlie accomplishes won't be one bit of a surprise to me or any of us that coached with him. He's a winner. He does it the right way. I said it publicly and privately many times when I coached with Charlie. Once I got with him at Florida, this is crazy. This is an injustice why this guy's not leading his own football program. And finally, Tom Jurich made that decision, which was long overdue, to name Charlie as the head football coach. He's got it all. Believe me, he's got it all. And am I going to try and beat Charlie and Vance and the Longhorns? You damn right I am. And we're going to try and put our team in a position to win a game. But my respect for him is through the roof. As a man, as a friend, as a coach, as a dad, as a husband, everything. He's got it all. And the Longhorns are really lucky to have Charlie down there leading that program.
So how do you temper your team's expectations about, maybe the biggest game being the first one? You got a long season ahead of you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm really good at that. I think just there's not any one game that's more important than the one that you're playing that week. Got to make sure everybody understands that because the season's going to go on no matter what happens in Austin on August 30th. And we turn right around and, as I mentioned, face a team that has just completely humiliated and embarrassed North Texas for decades in SMU. And then you turn around and it's conference opener. So if you put so much into something and you have to win this one, and if you don't, you can just see the bottom fall out of a football team. So I have to, as a head coach, make sure it's one opportunity, it's a great one, it's a national audience, it's 100,000 people. Not one of my guys, except for Darius Terrell, was recruited by Texas. Now, they may tell you they were, but that's probably a lie. They weren't recruited by Texas, okay? So do you want that opportunity to go prove that maybe you could have played at Texas? Sure, most guys would like that opportunity. But all that other stuff, it's still our 11 and their 11, their coaches, my coaches, and that one opportunity you have against a great tradition program. But there's no doubt about it, Texas is going to have a really talent-laden football team. They're going to be well coached, and they'll play with a hard edge. I know that much. We got to make sure we do.
Mac, you talked earlier about your 4 offensive linemen and returning seniors, guys that have been around. When you're replacing so many people around them and behind them, how important is it to at least have that in front of them?
Yeah, it just, when you stand behind them, as I always do in practice, behind the offense, and blow the whistle and protect my quarterbacks, or try to anyway, with a quick whistle, and handle everything and try and run it from behind there. And you look at those guys, and it's like, it's just a great feeling. It's a feeling of security. For me as a head coach, I'm sure it is for the quarterbacks. I don't ask them that, but I'm sure it feels really good, because you're talking about guys that as freshmen started against Alabama, who ended up being national champs. And they started against LSU, and they started against Georgia, and they started against many, many, many outstanding teams at Houston, and Houston here when they were such a phenomenal team. And these guys, a couple of them weren't even shaven when they first started here. Now they're all shaven. And I mean, really, they're grown men, and they mean so much to this program. And you watch that unit, it's Mike Simmons through and through. It's heart, it's tenacity, it's toughness, it's lead our football team. It's don't ever back down from a challenge. Don't ever regret anything. Turn it loose. Go play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And that's why I got one of the best offensive line coaches in the country, and Mike Simmons. And they take on his personality. I always believed as a position coach and as a coordinator, when I was in charge of a unit or half a football team as a coordinator, I wanted those players to take on my personality. You try and do that as a head coach, but I really believe in that as a position coach. Those players should take on that position coach's personality. And what that means to me is I want guys. We try and do things here with energy and enthusiasm unknown to most people, different than most people. We may not be the most talented, we may not have draft picks everywhere, but you control your energy and your enthusiasm and your passion and your love of this whole thing. And we try and do it with uncommon, to an uncommon level, to put it that way. And I really think a lot of our guys believe that, and it's really done that way in the offensive line. Those guys will fight you till they drop, and they'll fight you till the last snap of the game. And you have those guys up front trying to find those other pieces around you. It sure helps out.
So, Coach, a follow-up to the offensive line. You got 4 spots. What about that 5th spot? Any impressions in terms of who may be the guy to fill in there?
Yeah, Big Sean McKinney's 350 pounds now. We got him down 400 at junior college, 380 when he got here, 350 some now. And it's, it's not like he's just eating crabgrass and dandelions. He's eating all right, okay? But we got some weight off of him. He's in better shape. Sean McKinney needs to be as good a player the 8th and 9th play as he is the 1st and 2nd play. And that's been an issue in his career here while we've had him. But right now he looks like he's getting better and better at that. But I like the way that whole thing's going. Micah Thompson's one of the most improved offensive linemen. He wants to start. He's been in the program. He's playing his best football. Renfro wants to be a starting tackle so that he can kick Cyril Lemon to guard. That's what he would like to have if he was coaching, which he's not. He'd like to be a starting tackle. But just more guys that can play in the offensive line. So we lied about it when we said we have 5 we could win with our first year. We probably partially lied when we said we had 5 or 6 the second year, maybe 6. This past year we had 6 that we could win with. I'm not talking about putting names on a 2-deep. I'm talking about guys you can win with on game day. We felt like we really had 6 last year. For the first time since I've been here, you're talking about maybe 8 or 9, and if we can get to 10, phenomenal. Because most offensive line coaches in the country will tell you that's hard to do now. A 2-deep in the offensive line you can win with, but we have more competition, more depth than we've ever had there.
You got a couple of senior defensive linemen in a year that you're replacing a ton of guys across the board in Mason and Lincoln. Do you guys look to lean on those couple of guys, and how are they handled?
We are, and they need to step up. And, it all started in the summer that Frank Wintrick told me both of those guys did a really good job of leading that unit, the defensive line. But we're going to get 8 or 9 or 10 on the field. And can we win with 8 or 9 or 10 of them today right now watching practice? No. Against Texas or anybody else we play. But we're going to get there, and we have to. And we're going to keep the hammer down. We're going to keep the pedal down. I've told Kevin Patrick and John Scladani the same thing. We're going to get 8 or 9 or 10 of them that can play. So, and it may be 10 snaps, or it might be 15, or it might be 20. But you're going to come in there and play as hard as anybody in college football. You're going to play within our system, which is a proven system, 8th scoring defense in college football last year, with all kinds of turnovers, led by one of the best defensive coordinators in the country in John Scladani, valued on the outside, underappreciated sometimes on the outside, not by me. And he and I are not getting any younger. So the times we have together, let's try and make them special. And we did that last year. And let's see if we can do that again this year with a lot of new faces. So we're going to play a lot more guys. We'll play a lot of guys. And it's like right now we don't know who our starting Mike linebacker is. Let's play 2 or 3 of them if we need to. We're not sure at Sam. Although number 9, Sed Ellis, watch him in his career. He is really, really coming on, playing with confidence and really playing well. Secondary, there's some experience back there, but we got some new faces too. But we're going to go ahead and play more guys this year. And I expect those guys to come out here and earn it. at practice. We're not going to hand you anything. How about this concept in life? You get what you earn. You know what I mean? You get what you earn. Quit walking around with your hand out. There's so much of that entitlement in the world now, and entitlement in America, and entitlement in athletics and jobs and all that stuff. How about the old concept? You get what you damn earn. And that's what we really tried to build in this program. So nobody's going to hand you anything. Go earn it out there, and then we want to play. But you got a head coach that wants to play more guys on our football team than at any time since we've been here. So if we take 70 to Austin, wouldn't that be cool if we could play 60-some guys? Realistically, 50, 60, some guys. That'd be great. SMU comes to town, we dress everybody that practices, but plays 60 or 70. Wouldn't that be great for morale? And then build depth. And then continue to try and build on last year's performance of being one of the great second half teams and a really good fourth quarter team. And I think a lot of it had to do with endurance, mental toughness, depth, and being a little bit stronger at the end of that game because we played more guys.
What is it about those two guys that you like, the two senior vets?
Yeah, I mean, the longevity, they've bought in, they've believed, they've followed the plan. They got a lot of snaps, even though it's not because of starting, but they've still contributed. They've seen a little bit of everything. They've heard a little bit of everything, and now it's time. You're a senior. Act like it. Carry yourself like it, and especially play like it. And if you want that job and you want to be a guy that we can trust every week and you should be the example and the bell cow for everybody else, then go act like it and practice like it and do it every day. And they're in the process of doing that, but they're both coming on as leaders, and they're both doing some real solid things right now.
Coach, you mentioned the 12-5 record here at Apogee. Can you talk about how home field advantage is such an important part about building a football culture here in North Texas, and how it helps your team, the fans' energy on the field performance?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. 1-16 when I got here, 12-5 since we opened Apogee, and that isn't easy, and we've beaten some darn good teams. We lost to some teams that were pretty darn good too, but if we can't have some identity and some recognition and some respect by our fans at home, then we're going to have trouble improving that fan base and getting more people that really give a damn about North Texas football. So it starts there. It started with the students, and that's why Rick and I, as I mentioned, have been doing this every summer with our freshmen. Now this is the fourth summer we've done that, begging our students to come back and hoping that they will. Well, every summer it's 36 or 3,700. This year it was 4,200 freshmen that we got in front of, and had them come out, and we turned the video on and had the cheerleaders and the dancers and the cannon and the music and Scrappy and me and Rick talking to them. Well, this is the fourth summer in a row. So I'm hoping for the first time since we opened Apogee, we can fill this thing for that SMU game. Wouldn't that be cool? And I'm sure some people are going to wait and see, well, we'll do something against Texas, we might come to your game. I understand some people have that mindset. But real fans are going to come out, and they're going to come regardless of what happens that first week. We win, we lose big, we lose close, we win, we have a big victory. People are going to come to games if you're a real fan. And I think that's what we started to see down in that Cotton Bowl on January 1st, because there was a whole bunch of people there that don't come to games in Apogee. So we're hoping we start getting a lot of those people that are in Apogee now, down in the Cotton Bowl, to come to Apogee for our home games and sell this thing out and make that the norm, not the exception. We've reset all their attendance records. We've reset all the academic records. Obviously on the field, we've reset a whole bunch of records. So why not go to that next level? But we can't do it just because we work hard and we blow loud whistles. We need our fans out here. So and it helps everyone. And how about the first 3 games on national television? How about 12 of them at North Texas, all on television? So I've been doing this a lot of years. It doesn't affect me one way or another. I'm going to be the same coach, the same person, whether there's TV cameras or not. But if I'm a student athlete and I'm in this program and I'm at this university and I get a chance as a student to come out and be on national TV, first 2 home games, and be part of something special and make it fun and make it part of my college career, then go do it. And our students have really, really responded. They've been fantastic.
Coach, obviously you're worried about the now, but when you look at the coaching staff, you're really starting to create some stability with Coach Canales, a 2-year extension yourself, you're locked in, also John Scladani. Can you talk about that, what that means 2-3 years down the road from now for this program?
It's what's so important. It's continuity and it's consistency and hearing the same voices. And when somebody leaves, Mike Nelson retired, and God bless him, he gave me so much at Iowa State and North Texas. I had both my secondary coaches got 6-figure raises to go at other jobs. God bless them. I'm not mad at them at all. They got 6-figure raises. They got families to take care of and little children. So good for them. But while they were here, they left a great impression. They made a major contribution. But when you lose them, make sure you're bringing in really good people. And I've been able to do that with the support of Rick Villarreal. And then the other thing that's real important is make sure the guys from a leadership standpoint are there. That's coordinators. Tommy Perry, special teams, one of the most improved special teams units in college football. Mike Canellis, we reset a bunch of records last year. He understands my plan to win and what I want from our offense. Great job. Johnny Scladani, I already talked about earlier, but now whatever time he's got left in this profession, he's still one of the best that wears a whistle and coaches those guys and teaches the fundamentals and techniques of big-time college defense. So I'm so lucky every day. And whatever happens with this season, I'm walking into a room, into a staff, into an office every day with guys I respect, I love, I appreciate, and they're really, really good mentors and teachers and coaches. So I'm really glad I've got the staff that I have.
You mentioned earlier this week that Matthew Dash may be able to help you this year at safety. Can you take us through a little bit with his situation being a late signing and why you think he'll be able to help you this year?
Yeah, he and Sheldon Wade, who I put on scholarship, there was a walk-on in the spring. Both those guys got a really good battle going. If we played Texas tomorrow, they're both going to play. They'll both rotate, no question about it. Just really like him, and he's learning. And college football and the intricacies of college football and all the calls and the communication and everything that we see from offenses. You guys are all well aware of it. You study football and you watch football. All the looks and the personnel and the jumping around and the motions and the movements and all the things you see. It's not easy now. And sometimes you come from situations where it may have been a lot more basic, and we expect a lot more out of you mentally, not only physically, but mentally in a position, in a defense like this. But he's going to be a really good addition. I'm really glad he's here. I'm really glad Matt Dash is here. And those two back there will both play, but we got to find out who the best one is. That's another position, as I mentioned, really wide open right now. Those two leading candidates for number one.
Time for one more.
When you started, your message was, why not North Texas? Sounds a little bit like that message may have changed. Has it, and what is it now?
I know, it's a great message, I think. It was a meaningful one to me. Why not North Texas? We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. I really believe in that. And I getting more people around me to give and give and give and keep giving instead of always worrying about the next handout, the next give me something here, give me something there. What can I get? How about what you give? And I think we've built that within the culture here. So what can I give? What can I give back for the opportunity that I get? And I think we have a lot of that going on right now. So, but you got to make sure everybody's on the same page. Anybody touches my program, understand that. It's not about what you get, it's what you give. I love when you start having an impact on young people's lives as we get to as coaches, way beyond the football field. Forget yourself for others so that others will never forget you. And I've said it many times to many of my players, and through the years, it's pretty cool when they come back to you and they really understand the meaning of that. Forget yourself for others so that others will never forget you. It's harder and harder and harder every year that goes by, but there's a lot of meaning behind it. And I think there's a lot of meaning behind that here in the program here. So team concept, let's all give, and really appreciate everybody being here today. Thanks a lot, guys.